So before we get too far into the painting, I wanted to show you what the next step is going to be, which is a render of a more photorealistic image of whatever model you've created. In this case, this simple house. And so one of the reasons that we do not want transparency is that you will get this kind of flickering because it's trying to show us the color of the glass as well as what's behind it. And these aren't really windows into the house. We're seeing the wall through the window. So it's trying to show us the color of the glass and the wall behind it, and it can cause a lot of problems. Here it's done a pretty good job otherwise of rendering windows that really do have some problems. If we go into Blender, this is another this one's free rendering program, and you can see that this window doesn't look like the others. And even though we can orbit around and look at the rest of the house, I've added a lot of light so we can see it here. You can see these shadows. If you paint in black, then you're not going to be able to tell that there's any shadows. So we avoid the absolute black or the really dark colors for that reason. But why are these bricks around this window and this one is blue? So let me show you how you check your house in SketchUp before you go to the trouble of exporting and unzipping and opening up the other program and importing the model before you can see what it's going to look like rendered. So even here in SketchUp you can see that flickering, and we're seeing some brick here. So the trick is to look at the entity info for each of your components so that you can see that this component has been painted. This component, another copy of that window, has just the default no paint material. So this one has gotten clicked on accidentally on purpose after the window has been painted. So you couldn't even tell when it was clicked on. So before you export, before you go too far, make sure that you've removed any paint that's on the entity, on the component outside. This one, okay. And so you go around and you check every one of these, and this 4-pane window has that blue color on it, which showed up in the other programs. And so before you go any further, you check each one of these, and that transparency, you can find transparent textures in the materials panel. And you can even edit them and make them transparent, which you do not want to do. Look at this color. It's been edited, and that's why it has that slash through it. Anything that has that diagonal line is transparent. So we need to edit this color in the model. There it is. I found it. And we should be able to, if I go to the B bucket tool and select it. So these are the ones actually in my model. So it has to be on the house version right here, not over here. Then we can click on the edit and you can see how I did that. So don't lower the opacity on any of the textures. You can edit other things, like if you wanted it to be a slightly different color, then that's entirely possible. Although you have a lot to choose from, you could make a very light yellow out of that color. And now all the windows are that light yellow instead of the light blue. Okay, so make sure you check those things. One more thing, the reverse faces can also cause a lot of problems. One of the things you'll be checking is select the whole house, right click on it, and flip it all inside out. And those should all be reversed. If you see any of those that are white, then you painted on the reversed side, and you don't want to do that. Now the windows didn't because they're their own thing. So I'm going to Control Z, go into a window by double clicking, select all, Control A, and then reverse those faces. And the same thing, we should see all of that reversed face color and nothing should be have any paint on it. I'm going to Control Z that as well. So I've fixed those two problems, and before we do any exporting, we'll need to do a little bit of editing, center the house on that axis, and do some grouping as well. But those are things you need to watch out for as you're painting, and you'll do a complete check before we do any exporting of 3D formats.